So Graham, we're back again.
Back again.
I told you not to do that the other day, didn't I? But it's all right.
Has Troop's got copyright?
Huh?
Has Troop's got
I
copyright?
think he must have a copy. He's got T-shirts and everything, man. Right? Now, this is really interesting. What you wanted to do here was to discuss Unai Emery and his tactics, because we all know that Unai Emery is a guy who likes to switch things up a lot, and compare it with Arsene Wenger. And you've sort of put down here, basically Arsene Wenger last season versus Unai Emery's first season. And you've come up with some very interesting stats here.
Yeah,
Talk me through this.
Right, so I wanted to look at Wenger's last season against Emery's first season. That's the first thing to say. Wenger's last season was arguably his worst in his tenure. So we have to bear that in mind. So these stats would have been better in previous years. So this was his worst year, which was his last year before obviously he left his position. And this is Emery's first season. Now we have to say that Emery coming in, it's got to be given time. So we're not expecting him to go straight in and turn everything around overnight. But it's interesting I read back what Emery said when he actually took over the Arsenal job. His actual quote was, Arsenal were in decline between their attack and their defence. And I want to change that, and I want to make them more competitive against our top rivals.
Didn't it really work out so far, has
Well,
it?
I think he would argue that against, if you look at the Chelseas, the Tottenhams,
Yeah, we've
the
done better against
Man
them.
Uniteds.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he has improved us.
Yeah.
Chelsea last year, we won at home, we lost away. Tottenham
Should have beaten them, or we should have got something out of the
Yeah.
game away from them.
Tottenham, we beat them at home, drew away. And Man
Yeah.
United, we beat them at home and drew away.
Yeah.
So he did improve us, make us competitive in those games. But against Liverpool and Man City, at 1 point out of 12, we're not at their level. We know that.
And the away record was still poor.
Yeah. So the interesting for me is Emery has built his reputation on being more of a defensive coach. So and also about a man meticulous to detail. So he watches the opposition, and he basically sets the team up to sort of like negate their strength and us to be stronger defensively. So he wanted to get the balance, he said, between offence and defence. So I compared that first season, Wenger against Emery. So obviously possession, that's the first thing I looked at, and passes completed, which show you how we were offensively going forward. Now possession, Wenger in his worst ever season, we had more possession by 3%. Now that is quite a lot, I think. 3% don't sound a lot, but it is in a game of football. So we had more possession under Wenger than we did Emery in Emery's first season. We completed more of our passes under Wenger than we did under Emery. So 85% under Wenger, 83% under Emery. So obviously offensively, we were slightly down. So you'd think then, and the interesting thing is, if we're slightly offensively worse, bearing in mind Wenger, you knew how Wenger's teams were going to play. They were set up to attack, set up to take advantage of and play his Wenger ball football. You know, so you knew how he knew what his strengths were in his teams. So that was what he did, Wenger. Now defensively, this is very, very interesting, Robbie. So bearing in mind, Emery's come in to make us more solid. Now here's the first Premier League season. Goals conceded exactly the same, no improvement.
51.
But look at these two stats, and the second one's quite alarming. Clean sheets, under Wenger, 13 in his last season, but Emery only 8. And then shots at our goal last season, opponents were having 71 more shots at our goal. And just to sort of like put this also in some sort of perspective, XG is always a good way of rating your offensive play. We, in that first half of the season, was scoring from virtually every shot we had. Our XG was higher than it should have been, and when it dipped off towards the end of the season was when we fell away.
XG, just explain what people...
XG is goals expected from when you're attacking. So, like for example, if you sort of like a cross in, XG is low because it shouldn't really lead to a chance. But obviously, the closer you are to the goal, the higher the XG. So the XG was better under Emery early, was higher under Emery at the start, and then it declined towards the end.
Yeah.
So that's to me the worrying thing is the defensive thing. So I tried to sort of like wonder why this was. I tried to think about why I thought it might be, and the only thing I can come up with really is that he's tinkering around with the team too much, tinkering around. Last year in those last 5 games, and this is in the course of the games as well, he tinkered around with the formation 11 times in those 5 games. That's 2.3 changes per game. He's going he might go 3-5-2, then change it to 4-4-2 and 4-3-3. So every different shape formation you can think of, he's trying. So what effect does that have on the players? Probably unsettles them. They don't understand what their roles are. And I think that defensively, also I think it shows that maybe he's not getting it right in the first place. That's the other thing I'd like to say.
Could it also be, though, that he had a lot of the old Wenger players?
Yep.
Right, so, you know, he's a lot of the same old players that Wenger had. Remember when he first came in, they didn't really give him a lot of money to, you know, they brought in Socrates, a couple of other players, but more or less it was the same old players. What we're seeing at the moment is a lot of those players are getting shipped out. You know what I mean? The old players that were there under Arsene Wenger, a lot of them are gone now.
Yep, that's absolutely.
You know, a lot of them are
17 have gone.
Yeah, so could we see a difference this season in the defence? I mean, we haven't seen it yet. You know, it's the same old. But as I said, you know,
I mean, for me, look, I'm being honest here. I've been a massive Emery fan, and I want to give him time. He's got a 2-3 year contract, so I'm not by any means saying Emery's out. I'm not an Emery out. So and I think that he needs to be given time.
That looks very Emery out.
it's just stats, Robbie, isn't it?
You wanted Wenger out, didn't you?
Towards the end.
You wanted Wenger out, right? Look, he had more possession, right? He completed more passes, right? He conceded the same amount of goals. He had more clean sheets, and right, they had less shots on goal. Thing. So what are you saying? Are you saying? No, I'm not.
No, but it was clear at the end Wenger's days were over. To be fair, so I mean, in fact.
But what you're showing me here is that he has to drastically improve, especially. Yeah. If we're not going to be offensively better, then this defence has got to improve.
There's an argument that we need to be offensive. He needs to sort of like get us play to our strengths more, which is our offensive players more, because if he's sort of like weakening us offensively and not improving us defensively, there's no point weakening us defensively.
But he's done in 2 weeks in a row. Against Liverpool, he went very defensive in that game.
Look,
right. Against Tottenham, again, no Ceballos, quite defensive in that game. Is he then getting it wrong? Is he being too negative?
At home, yes. I mean, away from home, I had no problem. I like to see a plan, a strategy. I could see what he was trying to do at Liverpool. I could see what he was trying to do. Liverpool, he likes Liverpool. Obviously, if you give them the wings, everyone's saying you don't give the defenders the wings, right? Because they're wing backs wings because crosses come in. But as I said to you earlier,
we dealt with those crosses.
We dealt with the crosses, and it's a lowest form of XG. Less goals come from crosses from wide areas than through the centre. So he wanted to clog the centre up, and what he looked at is Liverpool like to have their wing backs high, their full backs high. So he was. With Pepe and Aubameyang's pace, he just wanted to sort of like take advantage on the counter-attack and try and expose them on the counter, try and get Pepe up against Van Dijk and Aubameyang up against Matip. And we did create that open chance.
Nearly worked. To be fair, it could have been 2 up.
But what he's struggling with is that these players, whatever, they can't execute his plans. So he might argue, I need to upgrade players. He's got Bellerin coming back, and he's got Tierney, his left back, who's his choice. And you are right, a lot of the players he inherited were Wenger players. But he also bought some defenders last year. He brought in Socrates, didn't he? And obviously Leno came in goal. So he did buy 1 or 2 defenders last year, and he bought Guendouzi. So he has got 1 or 2 of his own players coming last year, albeit on a budget. But he has now got more of his players in this year. I think what he needs to work on, Robbie, is what George Graham did. Right? Everyone sort of like who doesn't remember George Graham. George Graham had a great back defence, but he drilled them every week. They worked as a unit, and I don't see any evidence of us being structured off the ball, working off the ball. So I used to criticise Wenger because we were so open structurally. I used to come on your interviews when I first started going on Arsenal Fan TV and say, because I used to look at it, I'd watch it up high, so you can see all the gaps. And I thought we're so unstructured, and I expected him to correct this. 15 months on, Robbie, Emery hasn't corrected the structure of the side in front of that back four.
Do you have faith in him that he will?
It's a $50 million question. Well, I think we need to judge him when he gets his fullbacks back. He's got I want to see this team set up. That's the other thing I'll say about him. I don't think he knows his best team. And we haven't got an identity. If you look at Klopp and you look at Pep, they immediately came in and their philosophy was there right from the start. Klopp with his heavy metal pressing, whatever he calls it, I can't think of the German name. And then Jurgen press, yeah. And then Pep also with his high pressing and what he demands of his players. He didn't have the players to carry it out straight away, but you knew what they were all about. That was their identity. I don't think a year, 3 months on, or from when he came, I do not know what the identity of our team is. And I don't think he knows his best 11. I'll tell you what I think the best 11 should be going forward. If you just step away from the board there, I'll just tell you. I think he should go. Obviously, tactically, you change things for certain games, but most of the time, I think he's got to play these 3 forwards. He's got to decide who he's going to be his ball progressor out of Xhaka or Guendouzi. And I would say at the moment, Guendouzi is going to be knocking Xhaka out the team. I honestly believe that. He needs to use Torreira as a DM. That's what he was bought for. And then he's got Willock and Ceballos and Ozil who can play 10. And that's.
Well, who would you play out of those 3?
Well, I would, on form, obviously, but if you're asking me who should be in at the moment, Ceballos at the moment. But the one thing, Willock and Ceballos, if he decides to play him and rest Guendouzi, as you said to me yourself, Willock can actually work in the area where Guendouzi plays, and Willock and Ceballos can interchange, because they can both play 10, they can both play 8, and I think they can, certainly I can see Willock, he can sort of do a little work off the ball.
And your back 4?
Right, so this is what I think the team would be. It would be Leno, Bellerin, Tierney at left back, and then he's got this conundrum. I think one of these 2 has to go, and I'm hoping that Rob Holding, who I've got a lot of faith in, can come back and nail down one of those positions. And I would say, at the moment, I'm going to lean towards David Luiz.
So Luiz and Holding.
Luiz and Holding and then in midfield, I want Torreira as a holding midfielder. I want the DM. I want Guendouzi as our ball progressor. I want Ceballos as our number 10, and I want these 3 as our front 3.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, listen. You've seen Graham's team. I like that team actually. If everybody is fit, what would be your starting 11? And also Unai Emery, do you back him to get it right this season? Would love to hear from you, Graham. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check out the Tactical Insight Show. We'll be here regularly now this season, and Graham will be giving you insights after every weekend. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV. We'll be back next week.